I'm gonna give this movie an 8 out of 10.
I'm gonna give Deadpool a 9 out of 10.
I'll rate the movie 9 out of 10.
All right, as a Deadpool fan, I'm gonna give this movie a 9 out of 10 because I just liked it that much.
Okay, so this was my second time viewing this movie. The first time was at a drive-in theater, so the picture quality wasn't the best. I did enjoy this movie quite a bit. I'll do the negatives first. Some of the action was really fast and it was kind of hard to tell what was going on, but to me that was balanced out by a lot of good action, some slow motion stuff. So overall, the action, I was satisfied with that aspect. The look of the movie, everything was good. I didn't really like the color grading. I thought it was too kind of dulled out looking, and it could have been brighter because Deadpool comics are usually super bright. So I don't think that was the best choice as far as color grading goes. The other thing that didn't work for me too terribly much, I mean, anything in this film, I don't judge it too harshly because it's not supposed to be a super serious film, but the romance to me felt a little bit rushed and I never cared about it too particularly much. The main struggle, I guess character struggle that felt that I got kind of emotionally invested in would obviously be when he's being tortured. That was super intense. That was quite good. The whole scene where he's transforming or being mutated, that was all really good. And after, obviously, he turns into the monsterish looking mutant, his struggle with accepting himself, that was good. I really liked the villain. Obviously, he was cliche, but he did a really good job. I thought he was very charismatic and fun to watch. And any superhero movie needs a good villain. I thought he was a good villain. It didn't have a large cast. It was a pretty small, focused movie. Not a ton of characters, not a ton of big action set pieces, which I was surprised by, honestly. So I'm used to Marvel being pretty high scale. But I didn't mind it, and I thought all the characters, all the actors did a great job. They stood out. They were funny. So while this movie wasn't, I guess, I like movies that kind of are telling a bigger story or have kind of more depth to them. This didn't really have that, but it wasn't supposed to. And for what it was quite good.
Yeah, I'm a huge Deadpool fan, so for me, this movie was like really amazing. I mean, the basic plot of it, there's nothing that much to it, but just because Deadpool's in it and the way it's made, it's just, I really loved it. Ryan Reynolds does a great job as Deadpool. He was perfect because even after everyone said he was going to do good, I wasn't completely sure, but he completely sold. I loved it. I was surprised just how much it felt like the comic books because, I mean, it's more crude than the comics and stuff, but like, as I was watching the scenes, I was like, yeah, this feels like this would come out of the comic books more or less. I was really surprised with that. I loved all the action. As you said, there was a little bit of close-ups and not the greatest, but overall it was very good. All the CGI was really good. The soundtrack, that's probably one of the weaker points of it. There's some pop songs, but other than that, I don't really remember anything from it. The opening titles, though, are like really good. That's why it's really good. So yeah, overall, this movie was really good, and I liked it just a lot.
Yeah, I really like this movie as well. I mean, the whole opening titles just had me smiling the whole time. I really like the acting. I really like a lot of the writing. Like he said, it feels a lot like a Deadpool comic, but at the same time, it still feels like a movie. Like, it doesn't feel like forced. Like, it feels like they were able to make that kind of material where it's really meta work in the movie and in like a movie universe. I have a few problems with the story, just in that it's not exactly what the comics are, and that in the comics he works for the bad guys for a long time and is being controlled by them and does all these dark things. So I kind of prefer Deadpool to have that sort of darker past, but it worked for the movie. Like, the movie would have had to be like almost completely different if they'd done that. So it's more personal preference than anything. Yeah, I really liked everything about the movie. Other than that, I think I was never actually worried about Ryan Reynolds just because I actually do like him in X-Men Origins Wolverine, like before they show his mouth shut. So, I really like this movie.
I just thought he might be a little bit distracting as Deadpool. But no, it was fine. Anyway.
I really liked the movie, and I normally don't like Avengers movies, like Marvel movies. Yeah, and I thought it was a really cool way of like taking cliche idea of a romantic comedy and like, throwing that in there. Because I mean, I know you said you thought it felt rushed, but like a lot of romantic comedies are like that. Like you meet the person and it's love at first sight, and then this really fast romance thing. So I liked it, and it was really funny. But I also I cried. I don't know if I was the only person in the world who cried, but I cried because it just had me, you know. And I wasn't sure about Ryan Reynolds, but he was really, really good. I wasn't sure about him mainly because he's only kind of been in romantic comedies.
What part did you cry at? Was it the very end, or?
It was the very end, but it was also just his struggle with like his mutation making him look like moldy Swiss cheese, and then, you know, he's following her around the city and he just can't bring himself to approach her. And he knows where she's working. He's still so in love with her. It's so sweet.
Yeah. Considering the romance, I think she's right that it is kind of satirizing like common romance tropes, where it's like the guy has cancer and there's like he's gonna leave,
or the girl has cancer, like Nicholas Sparks or something.
So it's like, oh, I can't put you through this and all this stuff, and you know, it's kind of like playing with those ideas and making fun of them. And I did appreciate like the way he meets her and they kind of bond at first. Where it's like he pays her to have sex, but then they just go to this place and play whatever that game is. Skee ball, yeah.
Putting things in holes.
It was generally very clever as far as when they first. It looks like it's going to be like a sex scene, then the whole movie was quite clever in regards.
Yeah,
to
they
that.
subvert your expectations a lot, which I wasn't really expecting, since I was kind of going in like knowing that they were going to do stuff like that, but it still was able to surprise me.
Like they were advertising it as him being pansexual, so you're thinking, oh, he's going to be, you know, like a sleazy guy. He doesn't really care about the girl, but he's like a true romantic at heart. Like he really cares about her. He's so sweet. And his like ring pop and everything.
Go ahead. Make my day.
My favorite quote is when Deadpool says, "My boyfriend said this was supposed to be a superhero movie, but the guy in the red suit just turned that guy into a kebab."
And my favorite quote from this movie is when Weasel says, "Why don't you go talk to him? He might advance the plot."
My favorite quote is, "It's time to put balls in holes."
My favorite quote of the movie is probably, it's a cliche line, but it's when Colossus is going on about you know, a hero is really just 1 or 4 or 5 moments, and you know, I thought that was actually really true, even though it was supposed to be cliche, and kind of stuck with me. So that's my favorite line.